and meet the little green man and Zoom Zoo. Visiting Earth from planets of bizarre. Quite, but quite invisible. Nobody else can see them, only you and me. Sitting in kids who much prefers his nickname. Skis is the boy that Granny has come to see. Skids and Zoom Zoom are part of every plan. But when the world is wonderful, like the little green man.
Skeets had taken the little green man and Zoom Zoom for a day by the river. It was very hot and sunny, and the first thing they wanted to do was lie on the grass and watch the boats on the river. Then they started throwing a large coloured beach ball about, and that's when the trouble started. The ball went over Skeets' head and disappeared into the trees. Skeets dashed off to get it back, but couldn't see it anywhere. As he searched, he was met by a grumpy-looking man who was holding something up in his hand.
Hey, is this yours?
He demanded. It was Skeets' ball, but it had burst.
It hit me on the head and hurt me very badly, he said. It really is dreadful when a person can't have 5 minutes snooze without being injured by balls flying about. Anyway, it burst. Here it is. Go and play somewhere else.
The grumpy man stalked off, leaving a very unhappy Skeets looking at his burst ball. I'm sure it couldn't have hurt him. It's so light, he said to the little green man, who was looking furious. He said, which meant, and I'll bet it didn't burst by accident either. What a grumpy fellow. What's his name, anyway? I don't know. But he's a proper grumblesocks. What a lovely name, said the little green man, who decided he liked giving names to people. Let's call him Grumblesocks. They decided to play hide and seek, and it was Skeets' turn to hide first. Skeets found a lovely hiding place and jumped across some bushes, only to find Mr. Grumblesocks there, who had just unpacked a picnic.
Oh, not you again, you scamp. Now look what you've done, he said.
Actually, Skeets hadn't really done anything, as Greenie saw when he came to find out what was wrong. Skeets had only flicked Mr. Grumblesocks' hat from the bushes onto the rug. Skeets said that he was sorry, and he, the little green man, and Zoom Zoom went off to paddle in the shallow part of the river where there were stepping stones from one side to the other. This may have been a lovely way of keeping cool, but it didn't help to keep them out of the way of old Grumblesocks. He had come to cross the river on the stepping stones.
Out of my way,
He said rudely and pushed Skeets.
Can't you see I'm on my way to start fishing?
Poor Skeets was soaked. The little green man was so furious. Skeets put on his swimming trunks so that his trousers could dry. And the little green man had an idea which he thought would teach old Grumblesocks a lesson. Walking along the riverbank, the little green man soon found the grumpy old chap sound asleep, with his fishing rod cast in the river and placed beside him. The little green man produced his antennae and directed his magic rays at the river. And then the fishing rod. The rod began to be pulled as though a big fish was hooked, and this woke old Grumblesocks up. He wrestled to pull in the fish.
It must be enormous, he said.
And it was. He reeled in the most gigantic fish you ever saw, who walked out of the water on an amazing pair of legs and stopped in front of the grumpy old chap. The fish took off his hat, removed the fishhook, and threw it at Grumblesocks.
This is yours, I believe. What do you mean by sticking it in my hat and pulling me up here?
Grumblesocks decided to treat the whole thing as though it had never really happened, much to the little green man's annoyance.
"Ah," he said. "I must be suffering from a touch of the sun, that's all. You don't really exist, fish."
Oh, don't I, said the fish. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Freddie Fried. And this is my friend, Eli, the elegant eel.
Grumblesocks was not so sure of himself again for a moment, but he decided to stick to his idea of sunstroke.
What, another one?" he laughed.
Eli coiled himself up on the riverbank as he spoke.
Said Freddie. Well, if we don't impress you, I'm sure my other friend will.
Out of the water came a large crocodile.
Meet the Irish alligator, Mr. Crocodile.
That did it. The terrified Grumblesocks fled, leaving everything behind him. Freddie, Eli, and Croc all turned towards the little green man, grinned, and winked. Then, as the little green man's magic rays streaked out and encircled them, they quietly disappeared. Skeets, the little green man, and Zoom Zoom hooted with laughter as they thought how funny the whole thing had been. "You're very good at inventing names and people, Greenie," said Skeets, who stepped into his trousers, which were now dry. "Thank you," said the little green man. "I altogether enjoyed that, and I don't think Grumblesocks will trouble us again," he said. Skeets thought it was time for a relaxing row on the river, and he took first turn with the oars while Zoom Zoom tried very hard to steer the boat. After a while, the little green man took the oars, and Skeets warned him not to row too far downriver because there was a weir. "What's a weir?" asked the little green man. "I've never heard of one before." "Oh, it's a bit like a small waterfall where the river changes to a lower level. If a boat goes over the edge, it's bound to overturn." Greenie contented himself rowing around the safe parts of the river, and they were all enjoying the trip. Zoom Zoom left the tiller and started to fly around the little green man's head to get his attention. The little green man and Skeets saw that a sturdy motorboat, much bigger than their rowboat, was heading straight for them. To their horror, they saw that it was being piloted by Grumblesocks, who seemed determined to crash into them. As fast as they rowed, they were helpless. The little green man produced his antennae, which sparked and crackled as his magic rays streaked out to encircle Grumblesocks' motorboat. The motorboat simply stood still until the friend's rowboat had passed to safety. They mopped their brows and had just settled down for some more boating when Zoom Zoom again drew their attention to Grumblesocks' motorboat, coming at them from behind this time. The bows of the motorboat were brought up to touch the back of the rowboat, and Grumblesocks began to push them forward. Skeets wondered what was happening when he suddenly remembered the weir. "The weir, Greenie!" he cried. "He's trying to push us over the edge." As quick as he could, the little green man produced his antennae once more, and this time the magic rays encircled their own boat. It lifted straight up out of the water and stood mid-air whilst old Grumblesocks' boat shot straight beneath them and over the edge of the weir. The little green man turned the rowboat around and put it safely back in the water, facing away from the weir. As they pulled to safety, they looked back and caught a glimpse of Grumblesocks sitting on top of his upturned boat, looking very wet and sorry for himself. The little green man sat at the back of the boat and hooted with laughter. So much did he laugh that he overbalanced and fell straight into the river. In a moment, he was heaving himself back into the boat, dripping wet. He said. Well, really.